So, what if our entire justice system is set up to punish the symptoms of a problem instead of actually understanding the cause? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful story about transformation that starts with that very question. Okay, picture this. You're just 14 years old, and the system has already slapped a label on you, criminal. I mean, just think about that. That's the heavy reality where this story kicks off. It really makes you wonder, right? What if that whole narrative, that whole label, was just wrong? What if the things he was doing weren't the actions of a bad kid, but were really just a cry for help from a kid nobody understood? So his journey into the juvenile justice system starts when he's 14. And right from the get-go, two crucial words pretty much define his entire experience: undiagnosed. And because of that, misunderstood. You see, those two words, they're totally connected. Since nobody knew what was actually going on with him, his behavior was just seen in the worst possible light by everybody: the police, his teachers, the whole system. And his story, well, it shines a light on a fundamental problem. This isn't just about one kid. It's about a huge blind spot in the system itself and how it can completely misread the very behaviors it's supposed to be addressing. So here's the disconnect. On one hand, you have what the system sees: defiance, disrespect, a problem child. But the hidden reality, the thing nobody was seeing, it was a brain-based disability. His actions weren't a choice, they were a symptom. He didn't need punishment, he needed help. So he's stuck, right? Trapped in this cycle of being misunderstood and then punished for it. How do you break out of something like that? What was the one thing, the one moment that finally changed everything? It all came down to a diagnosis. That was the game changer, the real turning point. It's incredible the power that comes from just finally having a name for the struggle, a reason for all the challenges he was facing every single day. And you know what's crazy? It wasn't some huge system-wide policy change that turned things around. It was one person, a therapist who knew how to look past the behavior and see the signs of what was really going on underneath. The diagnosis was fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, or FASD, and it's a brain-based condition that can directly affect the exact things he was getting in trouble for: his behavior, his learning, his self-control. And suddenly, it wasn't about finding an excuse for his actions, it was about finding an explanation. And once you have that explanation, everything can change. This is where we see the absolutely profound impact of getting the right diagnosis and, just as importantly, the right kind of care. You can really see his path forward in 3 key steps. First, there's the diagnosis, which finally gave him the why. Then came support, which meant getting the right care instead of punishment. And with those 2 pieces in place, he was able to find a new purpose. And just look at where that journey led him. That same young man who the system had labeled a criminal is now mentoring others who are probably on the exact same path he was on. He didn't just get through his struggle, he turned it into his strength. But as hopeful and amazing as his story is, it also comes with a really heavy lesson. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important point: the human cost of a delayed diagnosis. The years that you just can't get back. Because as great as his outcome is now, we have to remember one absolutely crucial fact: an early diagnosis could have saved him years. Years of his life spent locked away, totally misunderstood, and struggling. All because the real cause of his behavior was invisible to everyone. Those are years lost to a system that saw a problem child instead of a child with a problem. His story did have a turning point. And it leaves us all with one big, unavoidable question to chew on. How many other young people are still out there, stuck in that same system, with that same label, all because they're misunderstood? Thanks for joining this explainer.